Hey guys, this is Kerry Martell here for the Yamhill Advocate. There has been a couple different news outlets that have reached out to me wanting my side of the story because apparently either Elise Holloman herself or someone on her behalf is doing what the progressive Yamhill people usually do, which is try to engage in narrative construction to blame me for death threats that I have nothing to do with because now she's getting a lot of very bad publicity as a result of me pointing out that she had tried to have me arrested for unlawfully for claiming I secretly recorded her at a public meeting. So let's read the story that the Oregonian made after I submitted a statement to them, and then we'll compare how accurately they represent my point of view, because I'll actually read the email that I sent them. So here is this article by, trying to find her name on here, Catalina Gatton, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. I could be wrong. It says, Newburgh City Councilor faces death threats, intimidation after objecting to hidden recordings. So they're already claiming that these are real death threats. There's no real evidence that they're real death threats. We don't know who did it. But of course, that's more important than the actual real attempt to have me arrested. Anyway, it's the headline. Subheadline is, a Newburgh City Councilor says she has received death threats and other hate messages after she accused a local blogger of illegally reporting. Of course, a local blogger, right? Not a newspaper, right? It's a blog, guys. So a blog, this is something that is always kind of funny. I mean, a blog is a format, okay? It's a medium. Many news websites, including the Oregonian, use a blog format for distributing their online newspaper. It still is a newspaper, okay? Blog can be a lot of different things. Anyway, let's read the article here. She says, Newburgh City Councilor says she has received death threats and other hate messages after she accused a local blogger of illegally recording a conversation with her and posting the clip online. Elise Yarnell Holloman, who has been on the City Council since 2018, said Kerry Martell secretly recorded their conversation after an October 10th event at Newburgh High School. Yarnell Holloman, 33, was at the event to talk about the school's wellness center. She said that she oversees the center as part of her work as Director of Access Strategies for Province Health and Services Oregon Region. Martell, a Newburgh gym owner who runs a website called the Yamhill Advocate, posted a video to his website containing a clip of the conversation 10 days later. In the video, Martell says he put his cell phone on recording mode before slipping it into his jacket pocket. Martell, 40, described his website as an alternative independent newspaper for political moderates and conservatives in Yamhill County, identified himself as a journalist in an email Friday to the Oregonian/Oregon Live. Well, at least they put that in there. That's good on them for doing that. During the clip, Yarnell Holloman can be heard telling Martell she agrees with him that Progressive Yamhill, a private Facebook group she is a member of, is an extension of the Yamhill County Democrat Party. Yarnell Holloman is active in Democratic Party politics, though city council seats are nonpartisan. So I gotta be honest, guys, I'm actually surprised that they admitted this in the Oregonian. So far, it's actually, so far, so good, you know. In his October 20th post on his website, Martell wrote that Yarnell Holloman's comment confirmed his belief that the Yamhill County Democrat Party was fundraising for candidates through the Progressive Yamhill Facebook group. In a phone call Thursday, Yarnell Holloman said her statement was about the two groups sharing similar memberships, not their being connected financially. The social media group does not collect money for the political party, Yarnell Holloman said. He wants desperately to connect me to Antifa to say that I'm not a true moderate, she said. Like I'm this Antifa person that's trying to bring Portland to Newburgh when nothing is further from the truth. What she's referring to is that I've shown that as a collective group, Yarnell Holloman is in, Progressive Yamhill, they use that Facebook group to gather money and donate it to Antifa groups in Portland. In particular, the example that I give is literally during the attacks in the federal courthouse in Portland, these Progressive Yamhill people were selling these sort of in our America flag signs to people who really didn't know what the messaging said, and then they were donating that money to these Antifa groups that were attacking the federal courthouse. And several of the Progressive Yamhill members actually went and attended those attacks. I'm not even gonna call it a protest, right? Like they were literally attacking a federal courthouse with Molotov cocktails. Okay, huge crowds of people attacking police, trying to blind them with laser pointers, throwing firecrackers at them. You know, some of them had bats, some of them had little homemade shields and crap. They're making shield wall, using like medieval style tactics with the goal of destroying a federal courthouse. Okay, that is extremism in the very real definition of the word. And Progressive Yamhill, part of why they're an extremist group, is because they support groups like Antifa that do these extreme things. The other reason that they're an extremist group, of course, is because they themselves, their own members, organize harassment against politicians, such as the Newburgh school board counselors last year, and other private individuals. I'm not going to get much further into that, but I'm just providing some context to what Holloman is saying in this regards. She's part of that group. She's remained a member of it, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. I'm no longer in the group because they kicked a bunch of accounts out trying to figure out what account I was using in the group. But she's still being heavily supported by Progressive Yamhill people. She's still making decisions on Newburgh City Council that is aligned with the Progressive Yamhill people. For example, the recently passed Newburgh City Councilor Denise Bacon, her seat was given by Holloman, Mildenberger, and Findlay. That seat was given to another Progressive Yamhill member, Molly Olson. So they're still aligned together, regardless of what she tries to claim to the public. I do not believe she is a moderate. Moderate people do not support extremist groups. That's just the end of it. Okay, let's continue with the article. Yamhill Holloman ran unsuccessfully this year for the Democratic nomination for House District 23 with the slogan, "Meet me in the middle." She said her work in Newburgh included running the nonprofit Community Wellness Collective is one of the reasons she has been targeted. Within an hour of Martell's October 20th post being published, Yamhill Holloman said she went to the Newburgh-Dundee Police Department to file a police report. She believed Martell had violated a state statute that prohibits recording an in-person conversation with a device without informing all participants they are being recorded. There are certain exceptions to this rule, including when the meeting happens in a public or semi-public meeting. The police department referred the case to the Yamhill County Sheriff's Office to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, according to an October 20th police report. On December 1st, Martell said two Yamhill County Sheriff Office deputies visited him at his gym, Power Palace Gym, to talk to him about Yamhill Holloman's complaint. Martell posted a video from his gym's surveillance camera to his website on December 20th, showing their conversation. In the video, Martell can be heard telling deputies Yamhill Holloman had no expectation of privacy because she was in a public place. "It actually is a crime. You can't record people without them knowing," one of the sheriff office members can be heard saying to Martell. "If it wasn't a crime, then law enforcement wouldn't be here talking to you." Concerned he would be arrested if they... let's see, it just sort of jumped on me. Oh, there we go. Concerned he would be arrested if they return, Martell said that he went to the airport after the two deputies left and flew to California to stay with friends. Martell said he believed Yamhill Holloman filed the police report to prevent him from writing posts that exposed their schemes before a special election happening at the same time in Newburgh. Within days, Yamhill Holloman said Martell's post about her started drawing attention from other right-wing social media accounts and bloggers. Followers of those accounts started contacting her through her personal cell phone, social media accounts, and city email addresses, she said. I don't know the truth of this. So this is what I do know about this, right? There are several YouTube channels that specialize in providing commentary on police, police footage, basically, and instances of people being approached by police, contacted by police, who I don't even know how found the video I put out on YouTube. Probably just trended, within the type of content that they are constantly viewing on YouTube, and they made several commentary videos. And I looked at all the channels that had done this. I couldn't find a single one I would consider to be very right-wing. I'd certainly say that they used some pretty strong language. I've used some strong language, in my videos before, but I wouldn't consider any of them to be far right-wingers, anything like that. I would certainly say that they're conservative viewpoints, and I'd say they're a bit on the libertarian side of things. But I wouldn't consider any of them to be like some far-right extremists who would organize massive harassment campaigns. I don't think that's true. And I would be surprised if that was the case, from the channels at least that I saw. How do I find the channels? Because people make the videos and they send them to me. I haven't asked anybody to make videos. I haven't asked anybody to make comments about stuff. I haven't asked anybody to contact anybody on my behalf about this issue. What I've been doing is informing the public about what is going on, because I believe the public needs to know, because this is about your First Amendment rights, right? And it's specifically about trying to censor my newspaper that is trying to inform people about legitimate, real conspiracies, like in the real sense of the word, not theories, like actual facts, like actual real conspiracies. In fact, I'm about to publish a big article today showing what I believe to be significant charity fraud that's been going on in Newburgh. So anyway, continue on this article here. The city of Newburgh also has been fielding calls related to the incident. Between Wednesday and Thursday, the city received about 20 random and disjointing, rambling phone calls and emails, most accusing local law enforcement of silencing people's First Amendment rights. City Manager Will Worthy said Thursday. That's probably true. I'm not sure if any of them would be threatening, though. Like, maybe it's, if people are angry on the phone, that can feel intimidating. But are any of them actually leaving real threatening messages? I haven't heard them, so I don't know. But I would suspect that most of these people who are watching these channels, they're not, crazed serial killers who go around making death threats over the telephone. Most of these people are pretty fluent with technology. They know that can be traced. I just have a hard time believing it. Let's continue on. We're doing our very best to simply ignore this stuff, because we know if we respond in any way, it'll just become more prevalent, and it gets in the way of doing normal work. Yamhill Holloman said the messages increased even more after December 22nd, when the Yamhill County District Attorney's Office filed a decline to prosecute memo in the case. There may have been a technical violation of the statute, but it was quite a public setting that it happened in, said Yamhill County District Attorney Brad Berry in a phone call Friday. This statute was designed more for the surreptitious recording of people in private conversations, and we ultimately decided it was not appropriate for prosecution. And that's the right decision, because the law is about private communications. It's not about being in a public setting, especially with public officials who are volunteering information on their own in a group setting. I've talked about this at length already, so I'm just going to move on from that. But I think that the district attorney made the right decision, not just for me personally, but for everybody else who somebody tries to accuse of breaking this law, who's at a public meeting and happens to record somebody confessing to things. Continuing on here. According to a copy of the memo obtained by the Oregonian / Oregon Live, prosecutors determined that Martel's phone and case were large enough to have been visible from his jacket pocket during his conversation with Yamhill Holloman. The video recording of the conversation also shows direct light multiple times, indicating that the camera lens was visible at the time he was recording. The event also fell under the statute's public or semi-public meeting exemption, the memo states. The district attorney's office made the correct decision, not just for myself, but for others who may find themselves in a similar position, Martel said. Oh, she used my quote. That's great. I do not believe that the case law in Oregon intended for that law to apply to matters of public interest being reported on by journalists who have attended a public meeting. Yamhill Holloman said the district attorney's decision has left her more concerned for her family's safety than ever. Along with multiple death threats, several of the messages Yamhill Holloman said she has received included anti-Semitic insults and misogynist slurs. Yamhill Holloman said she is not Jewish. Many of the messages also accuse her of using law enforcement to suppress free speech. I through and through believe in democracy and freedom of speech, and that all of my constituents have the absolute right and privilege to send criticism my way, she said, but what he has written about me and others, especially other women in my community, has led to extreme fear for the safety of our families. They're always trying to focus, like, he's talking about all these women. Look, it's not my fault that the Progressive Yamhill group is largely consisting of female leadership. That's not something I created. That is just the composition of the group. I have some theories about why it is that way, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter, because half of the human population is female. So, it's not I'm not criticizing them for being female. I'm criticizing them because of the actual things that they are doing that are wrong. has nothing to do with them being female. Let's just continue on here. Martel said any claim he is organizing harassment against Yamhill Holloman is completely untrue. He also said that he has faced threats of violence on social media as well. I have actually received threats of violence, and we'll get into that when I show my email that I sent. They have a quote from me here. I do not believe that any actual fan of my newspaper and the values for which my newspaper represents would have made those types of threats to anyone, he said. Yamhill Holloman said that before this week, it was not uncommon for people driving trucks with Confederate flags to drive by her house and scream at her while she walks inside. Those incidents come with the territory of being an elected Democrat in a rural community, she said. That, obviously I can't ascertain the truth of that. What I can tell you from being in Newburgh, running the gym, I have not seen, personally, a vehicle with a Confederate flag on it. Now, I run a gym. A lot of conservative people, rough type people come to the gym. A lot of country boys. None of them have Confederate flags. I can't say whether or not this has happened to her or not, but I know where she lives. I have a hard time believing this statement. I'll just leave it there, okay? Not saying like I know where she lives because I go there. It's a very small town. I know where almost everybody there lives who's involved with this stuff just because there's all this information about them that they put out themselves on the internet. And in investigating, the ties between them, I gather that information so I can understand how the group itself works. But I don't go to people's houses. I don't go and try to harass anybody there. I certainly don't record there. And I certainly don't drive by in a vehicle or anything of that nature. But it is a small town, and I have not seen anybody in a Confederate flag driving around in town. I've seen a lot of people with American flags, and I've seen a lot of people with like NRA stickers and things, and even a few stickers of like a gun onion, Oregonian, the Second Amendment gun rights advocates. None of those things are extremists, by the way, but there are some liberals that view these things as being very extreme. So, in any case, I have not seen any Confederate flags in Newburgh. It's a pretty small town. I don't believe that there's a bunch of secret Nazis there. But let's continue on. Less than a week before Martel recorded her, Yamhill Holloman said people began casing her house after another one of his posts. The post said Yamhill Holloman was involved with fringe extremist groups and said her nonprofit is designed to indoctrinate Newburgh students. She's referring to the Wellness Center because I'm not trying to drag on it too much, but there is evidence that they have been using it to encourage children to identify as the gender opposite of what they were born as in order to deal with issues like anxiety and depression. And I don't believe that is the right thing to do. I think it's ruining kids' lives. I think it's greatly confusing people. And I don't agree with it. And I can't really stop it. But the important thing is that they admitted that they were doing this stuff inside the secret Facebook group meetings, messages that I found within their group last year. Holloman herself is in it, in the conversation. And they try to claim that, no, it's not treatment to counsel kids on gender identity. Well, it actually is a form of treatment. So, anyway, I'll continue on. I'm just trying to provide some context to what she's talking about. He also has published screenshots from accounts Yamhill Holloman follows on social media, as well as from a blog she said she kept when she was a 19-year-old sophomore studying political science at Eastern University in Pennsylvania. Martel called these screenshots proof Yamhill Holloman is part of fringe extremist groups. Let's see. Screenshots of groups that she follows. Yeah, so I showed that she's on social media follows a bunch of Antifa accounts. I believe that's what she's referring to. There's always little, Antifa accounts on Twitter, and I showed that lots of these different Progressive Yamhill members, probably also her, I can't really recall if she was one of them or not. There's 2,000 people in this group, guys. It's hard for me to keep track of everybody. But I showed a bunch of them were following these Antifa accounts. So that's probably what they're referring to. As for the blog, she has a blog that she published in her college days where she rants about all types of the usual very far left extremist liberal ideas. There's like, an article where she was talking about Disney movies, unfairly stereotyping women and a bunch of stuff. So I thought it was relevant because it shows that, she was indoctrinated by her women's gender studies professors into this extremist ideology. She admits to that in the blog articles themselves. So moving on. But the vitriol this week feels different and more dangerous, Yamhill Holloman said. Newburgh police appear to agree. They've helped her create a safety plan and have increased patrols around her house and ensured her home surveillance cameras were placed correctly, she said, but they cannot take further action until she is at risk of imminent harm. I mean, it's always fine to do the safety precautions. I obviously don't wish any physical harm against Holloman or her family or anybody in the Progressive Yamhill group. I don't wish that, and I would encourage other people to not as well, because what we have to do in this country, I'll get into it, but let's finish this article out. In social media posts, Yamhill Holloman urged Newburgh residents to be aware of the death threats, writing, "We cannot wait until someone is dead before we say not in our town." Okay, so let me go over to the email, and I'll elaborate a little bit more further on, my feelings about the violent stuff and why it's not the right decision to do that in order to affect political change. We need to use the democratic process to hold officials accountable. And I said that in my email, and for the most part, it's kind of a balanced email. I wish that she would have included that because I think it's an important thing people should hear. So let's go over here to the email. Here's the media inquiry where she asked me the questions, okay? And I gave my responses here. I'll just read the whole thing here so people can, for transparency's sake. I apologize in advance for the formatting issues. I'm writing this on my phone because my laptop is having some problems. This will be somewhat lengthier than you might have expected, but it is because there is a tremendous amount of context that must be provided in order to fully understand the situation. I published about 140-something articles over the past year because it is so complicated, but I will try to make it as brief as possible to explain. My name is Kerry Martell. I am 40 years old and I have multiple residences. I own and operate a number of businesses, including the Yamhill Advocate newspaper and Power Palace Gym in Newburgh, Oregon. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, guys, if you couldn't tell. Got a bit of a sore throat here. I'm also a disabled veteran of the United States Army, and I served a tour of duty in Operation Iraqi Freedom. So the question that she asked is, prior to your conversation with the Yarnell October 10th event at Newburgh High School, you began recording on your smartphone and placed the smartphone in your jacket pocket, correct? I say, correct. I was recording my audio while attending the public event I was covering in my capacity as a journalist, with the intention to write an article about it, which became, and here's a link to one article, and then the second article where I showed the recorded audio that she made the confession about, Progressive Yamhill being an extension of the YCDP. Next question was, do you believe Yarnell's comments on October 10th confirmed that Yamhill County Democrat Party is organizing, including fundraising for candidates, through the Progressive Yamhill Facebook group? My answer was, it confirmed that Elise Holloman was aware of it. If you read the article, I previously provided substantial information that shows that the Yamhill County Democrat Party has been hiding its true activities through a number of groups that are organized through the Progressive Yamhill Facebook group, as well as some other groups, such as the Newburgh Equity and Education Facebook group. Evidence for this I published in several different articles. Most important ones are, and then I list 3 different articles that show substantial information for the claim I'm making here. That information being like actual admittance in the group of what they're doing. So, in parentheses I had, there are lengthy reads because I cite a great deal of documents and messages. The next question I was asked was, you wrote on your website December 20th that you left Oregon after 2 Yamhill County Sheriff Office members visited you at your gym on December 1st. Why did you decide to leave the state and where did you go? My reply, based on the interaction I had with the deputies as shown in the video, it was my belief that the next time I saw deputies, they were going to be there to arrest me and infringe upon my First Amendment rights. It is my personal belief that the reason why I was going to be cited/arrested for an article that I had published over 2 months ago on the 1st of December is because of the special election for Newburgh City Council that was taking place. I frequently publish information from my investigation into the Progressive Yamhill group to inform voters, there's some typos here, but to inform voters about Progressive Yamhill's candidates for offices so that voters can make informed decisions about it, if the values of the candidates, which they claim publicly, are actually what they truly believe, and if those are the values the voters want to support in candidates for those positions. I believe that the complaint from Holloman was designed to take me off the board so that I would not be able to publish information that exposed their schemes during an election where they might lose control over Newburgh City Council. An example of this is they had a variety of endorsements from groups that Progressive Yamhill controlled to make it seem like there was a lot more support for those candidates than there really actually was. It's basically like the same people, having different groups endorsing the same candidates, but pretending like they're totally disconnected groups. And I had an article I need to put out about that. Continuing on here. Therefore, when I saw deputies pull into the parking lot of my gym, I decided it would not be in my interest or the public's interest to have any further discussions with them or any law enforcement officers until the matter could be resolved. It was my intention to ensure that I can continue to do my mission of informing the public about the truth while contesting any warrants in federal court as an infringement on my First Amendment rights. I travel to California, where I have many friends from my days working in the entertainment industry, and where it would be good for me to spend the holidays amongst those good friends. Next question. What was your reaction to learning the Yamhill County District Attorney declined to prosecute this case on December 22nd? I believe that the District Attorney Office made the correct decision, not just for myself, but for others who may find themselves in a similar position. I do not believe that the case law in Oregon intended for that law to apply to matters of public interest being reported on by journalists who have attended a public meeting and are recording the confessions of a public official who volunteered that information surrounded by many people, including a police officer. Please briefly describe your website, Yamhill Advocate, I said. The Yamhill Advocate was founded by Karen Martell on October 29th, 2021, as an alternative independent newspaper for the residents of Yamhill County, Oregon. We provide you with the latest breaking news, yada, yada, yada. The aim of the paper is to publish news of interest for political moderates and conservatives in the county who are underserved by other existing publications in the area. Next question. Have you seen a spike in website traffic since first posting about the October 10th conversation with Yarnell? I say yes, but it has primarily been to the YouTube channel where I posted the security footage. It has generated over 210,000 views at the moment. Next question. Yarnell publicly said she has received death threats and harassment because of your posts about her, some of which she said contained misinformation. Is that ever your intention with your writing, or how do you respond to that statement by Yarnell? And this is going to be kind of a lengthy area, but it's kind of important. Holloman and other commentators on her social media have claimed that I am organizing harassment against her, which is simply completely untrue. In fact, the entire reason that I started making the Yamhill Advocate newspaper is because the Progressive Yamhill group was harassing other public officials and local community members in order to pressure them into complying with their demands and influencing public policies. I am wholly opposed to the use of these types of undemocratic tactics. I do not believe that any actual fan of my newspaper and the values for which my newspaper represents would have made those types of threats to anyone. I have always said that the abuses by Progressive Yamhill members must be resolved by using our democratic system for the intended purposes and hold them accountable using it. That is our duty as inheritors of the American dream. We must use our legal system and our electoral process to resolve the issues in a civilized way, and it is especially important to do so against those who seek to dismantle or abuse our democratic process. If you would like evidence for what I am referring to regarding Progressive Yamhill harassing public officials as an organized group, you can read this, which I provided to another newspaper that inquired on the matter. So this is a statement that I provided another newspaper who was asking me some questions. I will also say that if you are looking for people in the local community who make threats against public officials, I know of only one group of people who is doing that, and it's the one Holloman is a member of. At least Holloman was a member of Progressive Yamhill's social media groups during summer 2021, when as a collective whole, Progressive Yamhill organized the bombardment of phone lines and email inboxes of the employers Dave Brown, Brian Shannon, Renee Powell, and Trevor DeHart, demanding that they be fired or lose business relationships. Those individuals are members of the Newburgh School Board. The fact of the matter is the group organized the collection of personal information, such as what churches they attend, with the specific goal of Progressive Yamhill members going to these churches to harass them there. They even tried to drive a wedge between Brian Shannon and his wife, with the goal of causing a divorce between them, in the hopes that Brian Shannon would have to move out of his district. The fact of the matter is that they worked together as a collective to smear public officials with false accusations of being white supremacists and homophobes in an effort to confuse voters and build support for a recall election in a desperate hope that they, Progressive Yamhill, aka the Yamhill County Democrat Party, could regain control over the Newburgh School Board before their true activities would be fully exposed. Holloman never once, during the harassment or any time after then, publicly called out her fellow Progressive Yamhill members for their harassment of the Newburgh School Board directors, nor did she ever privately chastise them while she was a member of their social media groups, and in fact continued to be an active member of them for the entire duration of the harassment that I saw during summer 2021. For that matter, never once has anyone from Progressive Yamhill ever publicly called out another Progressive Yamhill member for their harassment campaign that they engaged in. Literally, last year, I posted substantial evidence of Progressive Yamhill members stalking, doxing, harassing, organizing protest rallies where they intimidated bystanders, bullying private businesses with threats of boycotts, and knowingly lying to the public about all of this activity. And this evidence was people's actual posts with their actual real Facebook profiles connected to them, not some anonymous voicemails. The evidence can be viewed by clicking here from the link to the article and jumping to the subsection, evidence of stalking Newburgh School Board members, and just keep reading the rest of the article from that point on. That article is Meet the Newburgh Mafia, led by elected officials and other community leaders, which is one of the very first articles I published on the Yamhill Advocate last year. In fact, Holloman's co-founder in the Community Wellness Collective, Kristen Stoller, admitted last year her goal, and that of other Progressive Yamhill members, was to completely destroy Dave Brown. Despite this, Holloman continues to happily associate with her good friend and cooperate with her and the activism of the group. The audio and video of Kristen Stoller making this statement is here, and I'll play this in just a bit. But let me finish the rest of these two paragraphs. Elise Holloman has been 100% silent about all of this actual, real harassment by her friends and co-conspirators against others in Newburgh, which has been going on for years with her full knowledge. Meanwhile, she falsely accuses others, such as myself, of organizing harassment with zero evidence for these claims as a way to distract from the real harassment she is involved with due to her role as a member of the group and the goals that she serves. I also add that I regularly receive harassment from Progressive Yamhill members and their sympathizers, including threats of violence. For example, Cody Dean, a local Newburgh resident with convictions for assault and rape, has made social media posts stating I should be assassinated. His social media posts are liked and reshared by Progressive Yamhill members. I publicized this information over a month ago. Unlike Holloman, I can prove the people making threats against me are actual members of the community and who they are associated with. So I'm going to play this video here so you can see Kristen Stoller herself, what she says about Dave Brown.
And looking at changing the culture of what voting looks like in Newburgh, especially graduated students from the high school that are abroad or at other schools, empowering parents and staff as they go through their process and their special event that will happen before Thanksgiving reasons. But right now it just means that we're also entertaining the idea of how we can completely destroy Dave Brown and maybe, a couple other things.
So that is Kristen Stoller, Elise Holloman's best friend, basically. It's her co-founder of the Wellness Collective.
Drinking warm water before bed fixes tooth and gum problems overnight. People are healing decay and repairing damaged gums every night.
Sorry about that. So that's Kristen Stoller. That's Elise Holloman's good friend, or basically her best friend, as far as I can see. They have been involved in a lot of different stuff together. They frequently hang out to this day. That is the type of people that Elise Holloman associates with, and that is who she supports, and that is who she is supported by. And I'm tired of these little narrative construction games that they are playing, where they are always the victims, everybody else is just being mean and cruel to them, when in reality, they are the ones who are victimizing other people. They are the ones that are doing the harassment. They are the ones that are terrorizing people. They are the ones abusing the systems of power, and they are the ones engaging in fraud, defrauding the public, defrauding others as well. I'll post more about that later in my next expose article, if you will, about charity fraud in Newburgh. Thank you, everybody, for watching this video, and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more to come. Thank you.